Eric Miskell with EMSNOW, and welcome to this episode of EMSNOW Up Close. Our guests today are Andrew Neisberg, the CEO of Gen3, and Mark McNeil, Senior Vice President with Zestron Americas. There's been a recent announcement of collaboration between these two companies that we wish to explore further, which will be the focus of our interview today. So gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for taking time and to share with our audience a little more about what's happening between you and in the industry. Let's begin though by, let me ask each of you to introduce yourselves and your organizations for the benefit of the audience. And Mark, why don't I begin with you, sir?
Yeah, so I work with Zestron. We're a specialty chemical company founded in Ingolstadt, Germany, where it's still based today, and we supply chemicals for cleaning into the electronics manufacturing industry.
Good, excellent. And Andy?
Yeah, my name is Andy Neisberg. I'm the CEO at Gen3. Gen3, we design, engineer, manufacture, and distribute test and measurement equipment into the electronics industry. And yeah, my role incorporates just the day-to-day running of the business and all of the fun that entails.
Yeah, which includes speaking to us today, so thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah. So Gen3 and Zestron recently announced a collaboration for testing services. So Mark, could you tell us about Zestron's testing services, please?
Yeah, we have services around the world, or what we call application technology centers. So we have 8 of those around the world. Historically, they've focused primarily on our ability to replicate cleaning processes in different parts of the world. But over time, we also migrated and understood that we needed to have the proper testing analytical equipment in those applications lab. And this partnership with Gen3 is just the latest example of where we're trying to round out these labs to offer kind of a full package service to our customers and to help out Gen3, who Zestron's worked with for many years.
Okay, thank you. And Andy, could you explain what type of testing Gen3 will be doing for Zestron's customers?
Yeah, sure. So following the recent release of the new international standards regarding SIR and PIC testing, these form the bedrock of establishing objective evidence in line with the new revision to IPC J Standard 001 Rev H. So a book that Gen3 recently published all about process validation, which was written by my father, Graham Neisberg, explains in more detail how producers must establish better evidence for product reliability than to rely on the discredited ROSE test alone. And in place of ROSE, the new international standard PICT returns this test method to the role for which it was created, which is process control.
Okay. So following up on that then why is Gen3 testing collaboration so important to the industry?
Yeah, so with ever increasing packaging density, coupled with the more hostile operating conditions, the susceptibility to electrochemical failure has increased exponentially. So SIR testing is only the first stage though. So unlike other test methods, SIR will inform whether the end product production process will likely produce electrochemical reliability of a material set, but it won't inform, or it will not inform what is present causing a problem. And that's where other chemical identification tests such as ion chromatography or FTIR, etc., come into play. So they can reveal what's present and causing the product, but cannot predict reliability. So having the ability to evaluate a customer's process is an essential requirement, even more so because of the increasing demand for reliability. And this can be seen as more electronics enters the personal safety orbit with all the electric vehicles and the like coming ever more popular these days. But with that, the susceptibility of electrochemical failure is rising. So, the key is twofold. All fluxes leave residues, and in particular, most modern process materials such as flux use non-ionic surfactant additives to aid wetting or de-wetting. But these non-ionic residues are not detectable by extract tests such as the IC or FTIR or the rows and pick tests and the like. So yeah, CERT testing is not a fast test, and having the ability to link the entire process of cleaning and no cleaning, CERT, and the subsequent process control needs to have a complete test center, and that's where Zestron come in and are able to provide that. So Gen3 are providing evaluation support when analyzing the results, especially critical during this fun time we're all living with the COVID pandemic. So.
Yeah, exactly. Mark, anything you care to add to that?
Yeah, I think he said it well. I mean, with us adding and partnering with them to have SIR testing right now, just at our Manassas, Virginia site, we are able to put together in one location, the cleaning trials, the SIR testing, and then the subsequent testing required to determine if there's a failure with SIR, what is the cause of that failure. So we do have all of that equipment in one location now, and we can see spreading this cooperation to other Zestron applications labs.
Okay, excellent. So Andy, you mentioned it, so I'm going to follow up on it. It was a mouthful. The standard, the IPC J standard 001 Rev H. What is that exactly?
It is a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the IPC J standard 001 is recognized as the global standard of how to build electronic circuits. And that's thanks to the US aerospace and defense industry. This document has its foundations from the old US MIL standards, where product reliability was of paramount importance. So Rev H is the latest development of this standard. It's a very fast moving standard. So Rev J is already in work for the next revisions and so on.
Okay. So let me ask, Mark, coming back to you, how have your customers responded to this in this testing center?
They responded well. I mean, we worked out all the details with Gen3 over the last couple months, got the test up and running, and just like a week ago, we finished our first process validation testing. And just later this week, we'll be reviewing that with Gen3. Andy talked about them providing some help in the interpretation side. And then just the other day, we were talking to a potential automotive customer that was very happy to hear, we had SIR again, so that they can come to one location and kind of see the whole process and how it works, and basically only have to deal with one company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see where that's a great benefit to them. Exactly. So let me follow up regarding the testing centers. How has the whole COVID pandemic impacted those centers?
I like to tell people, I mean, obviously we've had very few visitors physically. I think since the pandemic started, we've only had 2, in-person visits from local companies. But despite less visits, I mean, I think our lab here in Virginia has been more busy this year than in the past. So there's still a lot of activities with our customers and potential customers, and the in-person stuff basically stopped, but the activity level and the requirements of the customer only increased during 2020.
Yeah. I'm assuming you've had to adopt platforms such as this then for the interfacing with the customers, or?
Exactly. I mean, everything's done. We use WebEx. So I've been on WebEx more in 1 year than I have my entire life.
I can imagine. So following up on the whole COVID piece, what do you think the long range impact of COVID on manufacturing is going to be? And that's to both of you, actually. And Andy, maybe we start with you first.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty annoying, isn't it? I mean,
Flash, annoying.
I mean, from our perspective, simply speaking, it's super irritating and a real inconvenient disruption. So, our advice is to take advantage. Look at the positives. Don't weigh on the negatives of everything that's going on. Take advantage of this disruption, and it's a really good opportunity for businesses to get their process evaluation underway ASAP. The benefit will be seen in the long term post-COVID when we're back to having parties, shaking hands, drinking some beers together and things like that. But in terms of the manufacturing side, get your process evaluation underway now. That's, I think, one of the key points that we want to get across.
That's excellent. Mark, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I see something similar, and I think, we used it as a time to reevaluate, even your business practices, right? Because everybody gets so used to traveling and believing that everything has to be done in person.
Yeah.
But we really took the time to step back and reevaluate, when we start back traveling, what is the best way to utilize those resources? We're trying to understand which customers, might never get back to the point where they just let you come and stop by for a courtesy visit. I agree with Andy. Once you get over the initial shock of the situation, I think we took it as an opportunity. Hey, we got everybody on our team available. Let's improve our business processes and how we interact with customers going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did a lot of interviews, in using this format over the past year, and the issues that always seemed to stand out, especially with electronics manufacturing, was increased automation, increased digitalization, and the need for increased resilience, right? And I think all of those three seem to be continuing into 2021 with us as well.
Absolutely. I mean, just from our own perspective, I haven't had any, I'm sure it's the same for you, Mark, but, we haven't had any of our front office staff in the office now for coming up to a year. And, the changes that enforced upon you to make is huge. But as Mark correctly stated, it really enables you to take a step back and look at how things are going and what's coming in the future. And, will international travel be as prevalent? Who knows? And I hope so.
Yeah. Anything to add, Mark, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think March 8th will be 1 year since I've been on a airplane, and that hasn't happened in more than 20 years. But we have a lot of, we have many salespeople, many applications engineers, and at any given time, a third to a half of the team would be on the road, visiting customers. And so it has been a unique opportunity to have the whole team available to talk through some of these ways businesses changed and how we will do business going forward. You don't get that. I mean, you would have never gotten that chance otherwise.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, and just to go back to one of the issues I asked before, when you mentioned that you'll be rolling out the Gen3 to your other test centers as well, is COVID limiting that at this point, or is that, how do you see
I think we, not so much. I think we want to kind of perfect what we're doing here. I know we, as with any other company, we have limited bandwidth. So normally in Zestron, no matter what the technology is, we'll try to put it in one location that's best equipped to handle that. And once we iron out all the details and reporting and everything with Gen3, then that's when we would start the rollout process.
Okay, good. Thank you for that clarification. Well, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing the update on what you're doing collaboratively there and the benefit it's bringing to the audience. Hopefully we can get an update later this year as this transcends and keeps going, and maybe as it gets out to the other test centers. So thank you for your time. Stay safe out there, and look forward to catching up later in the year some point.
All right.
Maybe in person.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yes, exactly, in person.
All right, take care.